Hi, I'm Don Pavia-Smith. I'm the president of the Davistown RSL Bowling Club. I've been in this club for 9 years and I've occupied a number of positions on their committee through that time. Prior to that, I was a member of Greta Workers and Lawn Park Bowling Clubs over a period of 9 years in the Hunter Valley, so 18 years all up in bowling for me.
And my name's Kerry Hutchison. I originally joined Dora Creek, was there for 10 years and then moved to Davistown, where I started off on match for 8 years, president for 4. Now I'm the bowls organiser. I was president for 4 years. I had to get permission to do the extra year. My secretary was with me for those 4 years. And at the end of the 4 years, we both decided we just didn't want to keep going on in those positions. So we were going to lose the president, the secretary, plus the treasurer was going to step down. So I was fearful that our club would fold. So I approached the men and they were very receptive to us.
Yeah, the men's club were very concerned when we got this approach, and our concern stemmed from the fact that we've had a long and good working relationship with the Women's Bowling Club in Davistown. We've done a lot of things together over the years, and after discussion around the table, one of our men's members said that if the ladies' club was to fold, that would seriously have a serious detrimental effect on us, and we didn't want that to happen. So we got back to them and said, yes, let's talk about it. And it went from there. The administration has changed in 2 ways. Firstly, we've got a number of ladies who are part of our committee, and I'll explain that shortly. The other way it's changed noticeably is that we're more formal in the way that we deal with our business. We operate a management committee, which means that most of the work is done away from the committee and brought to the committee as recommendations that we approve or disapprove or whatever, or polish up. And that formality, it's essential while we're working with people that we haven't really worked with before in that sort of more formal approach. The men used to, ideas would develop in the bowls office, and then by the time they got to the meeting, they would usually have been resolved. So it was just a different approach, and we take a bit more time about things while we're getting used to it. The formal committee now comprises a president, 2 vice presidents, 1 male, 1 female, a secretary, a treasurer, 2 bowls coordinators, 1 male, 1 female, because we didn't change any of our bowling activities, and 2 selectors, 1 male, 1 female. And they both have subcommittees underneath them that help them sort out their selections when they do them. Our club's run by volunteers. It's very important for other clubs to understand that. We do a lot of bowling, but we're totally run by volunteers. And we're a sub-club of the Davistown RSL Club. So different format from some others, but similar to others. So our administration, it's working well. I'd have to say that at this stage, we haven't hit any road bumps that we sort of thought we might hit. And that's largely because people want to make it work. And so we're getting along all right.
I just agree with Don. It's running very smoothly, and we've always got on, and we're still all getting on with the running of things. And yes, I have a committee under me, and we're working well together.
I think it's too early to say. We've been in a unified state for just over 5 months, and mainly we're working well at the committee level, as I remarked earlier, but I think it's too early to say there are any other changes. All our bowling activities are running well, and our members seem to be very happy with what we're doing. And the major events we've had, we had a Christmas come presentation party, which we ran as a joint event, and that was a highly successful occasion. And I think because of that, that's what we're going to be doing in the future.
Yes, I agree with Don. Things seem to be running very smoothly. We've had no hassles at the moment, no problems.
I think the only challenges we've had to face were really in the steps to unification process, where we members, once they saw the process of unification, they wanted to vote on it straight away. And of course, we had to go through the process of getting a constitution and also having that approved by our parent club. They had to agree with what we were doing, and Bowls New South Wales were very helpful in that regard. They gave us a draft constitution, which was then sent off to the club's legal advisors, and in due course it came back. But all this took time, and it was just a matter of going through it. Our members, I think, were impatient. Once they heard the information about unification, their view was, let's get on with it. And there were only 2 or 3 dissenters in the whole club who thought we shouldn't be doing it, or it might have been premature. And then, so we had a number of meetings. We had an information meeting. Then we had a meeting where they voted, a formal meeting to wind up the existing clubs and transfer assets and adopt a new constitution and things like that. And those are just formalities. They seemed a bit tedious, but they had to happen, because if you don't do them right at the start, you're going to run into problems along the way. No problems since that I would sort of make a note of.
Yes, at the moment there's everything is running quite smoothly, and everyone is very happy with the combined bowling. We're doing more social combined bowling, and everyone seems to be very happy. I think give it a go. It is a process, and yes, it does take a little bit of time, but there's a lot of help available out there from the state, and just talk about things, talk through things before you finalise it. Make sure your conditions and what you want as a ladies' club are agreed on or compromised. We just need to work well together, and with our club we are doing exactly that, and things are going forward very, very well. I
think that each club will come to their own conclusion as to how they go about this, but eventually they probably will unify. I just see that as an inevitable thing. Like, one of the things that we'd like to see in this part of the world is that the zone and the district get together, because that would be a great indication to all the clubs that the leadership of the organisation support it too. And at the moment, there are discussions, but I'm not sure there's much progress. So from our point of view, zones and districts have some responsibilities in this. I think the other thing I'd say is that Kerry remarked on was that a lot of time was spent in nutting out the details before we got back to talking to members. And one simple example of that was, in the selection meetings, who has the final say? Now, those can be pretty critical. Anyone who's played bowls know that selectors is a highly contentious, or at least their selections are highly contentious quite often. And the solution suggested by our ladies' club was that whoever had the most members would have the final say on selection for open gender teams. That just seemed simple common sense. So our ladies selector and our men's selector meet and talk about their selections and offer advice to each other. But in our club, the male selector has the final say, and that seems appropriate to everybody.
One other thing I would like to say is that when you form your committee, it's important to make sure that it's as equal as possible can be. With us, like Don said, we have the one president, but that may be a female or may be a male, depends on who steps up. And just try and have an equal committee.
Yes, that comment about having a balanced committee is a very important one. And what we decided was that in 3 key positions, vice president, selector and bowls organisers, bowls coordinators, we had to have 1 male and 1 female. All other positions are open, so anyone could stand for them. So president, secretary, treasurer, and so on. But because of the activities that happen in terms of bowls organising and selection, it was important that both those voices were heard, and we didn't want to have any part of the club feel that they weren't getting an equal go. So that's the way we did it, and that's in our constitution.
We also had to convince our ladies in the beginning, but they're okay now is because both our 50th are coming up, our 50th year of the club. The men are having theirs earlier because they're due earlier. We are going to have one combined 50th, which will be a big thing. It will be a really great night. But then we will be having our own individual 50th, so that the women, to keep them happy, was to have all the past members invited, and the men are doing the same. So we're not excluding things that some of the women were concerned about in the beginning.
Yes, and it's important that the people who helped to build the club and bring it to where it is get recognition. So that's why we want to recognise all those past members, and especially committee members who've done work over various times. Kerry and I have been invited to a couple of other clubs locally just to talk to committees that are thinking about this issue, and we've talked to them pretty openly about what we did and how we went about it and how we dealt with the issues and challenges that arose, and they've gone away to think about it, and they'll deal with things in their own way in their own time.